A recent 2026 study from Stanford revealed something terrifying. 73% of professionals show at least 3 clinical signs of burnout, but most don't realize it until irreversible brain changes have already occurred. Burnout isn't just being tired. It's your brain's emergency shutdown system. And the scary part? The warning signs are hiding in plain sight. Today, we're diving into the 7 psychological signs that your brain is shutting down from burnout. Miss these, and you could be headed for a complete breakdown. But first, you need to understand what burnout actually does to your brain at a neurological level. Because once you see this, everything else makes sense. Let's start with the neuroscience that changes everything. When you experience chronic stress, your brain doesn't just feel different, it physically changes. A 2026 neuroimaging study from MIT found that prolonged burnout actually shrinks the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, emotional regulation, and focus. Essentially, burnout is eroding your ability to think clearly. Meanwhile, your amygdala, the fear and stress center, enlarges. This creates a vicious cycle where you become more reactive, more anxious, and less capable of handling stress. Dr. Christina Maslach, the leading burnout researcher, updated her findings in early 2026. She identified that burnout operates through 3 core dimensions that destroy your psychological functioning: emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced personal accomplishment. These aren't separate problems. They're a cascading failure of your brain's coping systems. But here's what most people miss. The early signs don't feel like burnout at all. They feel like personality changes. So let's talk about those 7 signs, starting with the ones that appear first. Sign number 1, cognitive exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. You wake up tired, not because you didn't sleep enough, but because your brain never stopped working. Research from the University of Cambridge in 2026 showed that burnout victims have hyperactive default mode networks. Even during rest, their brains are running at 70% capacity. Sign number 2, decision paralysis over trivial choices. Should I have coffee or tea? It feels impossible. Your prefrontal cortex is so depleted that even simple decisions trigger anxiety. This isn't weakness. It's called decision fatigue. And neuroscientists in 2026 found it's one of the earliest measurable signs of burnout before people even report feeling stressed. Sign number 3, memory problems that make you feel like you're losing your mind. You forget meetings, lose your keys, can't remember what someone just said. This happens because chronic stress floods your hippocampus with cortisol. That's your memory center, and it literally cannot form new memories properly under these conditions. Now we get to the signs that indicate you're moving into dangerous territory. These are the emotional and psychological shifts that signal serious burnout. Sign number 4, emotional numbness. Things that used to make you happy don't anymore. You're not sad exactly. You're just empty. Psychologists call this anhedonia. A groundbreaking 2026 study showed that burnout victims have reduced dopamine receptor sensitivity, making it physically harder to feel pleasure or motivation. This is your brain protecting itself by shutting down emotional processing. But it comes at a cost. You start feeling disconnected from everyone, even people you love. Sign number 5, cynicism and detachment from your work. You used to care. Now you're just going through the motions. Everything feels pointless. This is depersonalization, the second dimension of burnout. You're psychologically distancing yourself as a defense mechanism because caring hurts too much. A 2026 workplace psychology report found that cynicism is the strongest predictor of whether someone will quit their job within 6 months. Your brain is already checking out. Sign number 6, physical symptoms that doctors can't explain. Headaches, stomach problems, muscle pain, constant illness. Your body is manifesting what your mind won't acknowledge. The mind-body connection in burnout is real. Chronic stress suppresses your immune system, increases inflammation, and triggers your nervous system to stay in constant fight or flight mode. A massive health study from 2026 linked severe burnout to a 42% increased risk of cardiovascular disease. This isn't just mental, it's killing people. Now for the most dangerous sign, the one that indicates you're at the breaking point. Sign number 7, loss of identity and sense of self. You can't remember who you were before all this. Your entire identity has merged with your stress and your work. This is the third dimension of burnout. Reduced personal accomplishment. Nothing you do feels meaningful anymore because you've forgotten what meaning even feels like. Psychological research from Yale in 2026 showed this stage correlates with the highest rates of severe depression and breakdown. This is where burnout becomes a medical emergency. If you're experiencing 5 or more of these signs, your brain is in crisis mode. But here's the critical part. Burnout isn't permanent. Your brain has neuroplasticity. It can heal. It can rewire. But you have to intervene correctly, and most recovery advice is completely wrong. Taking a vacation won't fix this. Neither will meditation apps or positive thinking. Those address symptoms, not causes. Real recovery requires 3 science-backed interventions that actually restructure how your brain processes stress. First, boundary reconstruction. You need to physically separate your work identity from your personal identity. Research shows this means strict time boundaries and separate physical spaces when possible. Second, micro-recovery periods throughout your day. A 2026 neuroscience study proved that 15-minute breaks, where you completely disengage, reduce cortisol by 38%. Not scrolling on your phone. Complete disengagement. Walking, sitting quietly, or doing something creative that requires no output. Third, and most important, meaning reconstruction. You need to rediscover or create new sources of meaning outside your productivity. This is what rebuilds your dopamine system. Connection, creativity, contribution to something beyond yourself. These aren't luxuries. They're neurological necessities for a functioning human brain. If you're in severe burnout, please consider professional help. Therapy, specifically cognitive behavioral therapy or acceptance and commitment therapy, has shown remarkable results in recent 2026 clinical trials. If this video resonated with you, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe. It helps us reach more people who desperately need this information. Your brain is not broken. It's sending you signals. The question is, are you finally ready to listen? Remember, recognizing these signs isn't a weakness. It's the first step toward reclaiming your mental health and rebuilding the life you actually want to live.